Hey everyone, welcome back to Saturday Morning Toy Tunes. It's the somewhat weekly live stream here on my channel where we gather around our modern day campfires, which I'm calling our computer monitors, phone monitors, our phone screens called monitors? Probably not, they're probably just called screens, and lament the lack of Saturday morning cartoons in our lives and try to make up for it with geeky talk, talking nerdy to each other, that's right. Discussing all the cool things that happen in the geeky world. And a lot took place this week. I'm going to talk about the Mandalorian episode. It's probably going to be spoilerific, so I'll give you guys some warning when the spoilers are coming so you can feel free to mute me or just go away for a little while and then come back. But yeah, there are going to be some spoilers. I'm walking away from my usual 1 week time frame that I'd like to give before talking about spoilers because just an awful lot happened in that episode and I want to talk about it. I can't hold it in anymore. I can't. Maybe it's the coffee making me excited because I am excited. On top of that, I want to talk about the upcoming potential for a major character to be showing up in The Mandalorian, unexpected. But yes, something I just had a realization yesterday while I was on the phone with my friend Scott Heinemeyer, who I see is in the chats. Hey, Scott. Also, in addition to all the Easter eggs that we saw in the episode, I want to talk about Bo-katan and the machinations. I've never actually heard somebody say that word out loud, so I can think of two different ways that it can be pronounced. If anybody knows the proper way, I could look it up right now, but I'm live. I'm not going to make you guys sit through that painful process of me Googling something. Not that I haven't done it before, but Club 6 skills in full effect. I'm loving the tunes. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I've got to talk about today. If you guys have anything that you would like to hear my thoughts on, feel free to bring it up in the chats and I'll start talking about, if I can talk about it, I will. Remember that on Saturday Morning Toy Tunes, there are some addendums, some certain things, some certain topics that are forbidden. I can't talk a lot about my employer. That's just an NDA? Yeah, that's it. Non-disclosure agreement sort of a thing, and that's totally respectable, so we're gonna abide by that, right? I can see that somebody already sounded off and let me know that it is pronounced machinations. Thank you, TK421 Collectibles. If you guys haven't been following TK421, that guy is a juggernaut of collecting goodness. He's recently made the dive into Sideshow Collectibles, Sideshow 6-scale figures by picking up an AT-AT driver. Got the exclusive. We'll talk about that here in a minute because that is one of my favorite figures to come down the pipe from Star Wars 6-scale, as well as one of the TIE Fighter pilots. And I believe that there are at least two different versions of that. There's the original trilogy version and the original trilogy version. Who would that be? That went PG-13 really quickly. All right, and on top of that, there's also the Rogue One version, which is the paint scheme that we see in The Mandalorian with the two really cool vertical stripes. Did Sideshow do a version of that? Why do I keep wanting to say virgin? What the hell is going on with me this morning? What's in this coffee? Yeah, I'm sure that's not going to be my only vocal gaffe of the day. I'm sure that I have at least a handful of them every single day. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I've got to talk about. We'll get to that here in a second, but before we go that way, I want to say hi to everybody who's in the chats, and I noticed that we got an early start in the chats, probably because people had already been awake for a long period of time, and maybe we're looking for something to do. Pierre was the first one in the chats today. I'm very surprised by that. I don't know why. Again, it's a different time frame, so maybe the Steves, who usually show up first, or Keith, were not ready for this. I did kind of spring this on everybody at the last minute. Sorry for that. I wasn't going to do a live stream today because I stayed up until 4 o'clock in the morning watching, just binging the entire first season of The Clone Wars. It is, by the way, better than I remembered it being. When I talk to people about watching The Clone Wars, I tell them you're going to have to slog through the first 2 or 3 seasons probably because it's not for everyone. It's definitely for me, but it may not be for you. But having gone back and watched that, I kind of regret that comment. I kind of regret saying that about it because it's really good. There's a lot of good stuff in there. Over time, they were able to develop the animation to the point that it is light years better than it was. But given the budget that they had starting out, I think they did a fine job. It conveys the story and tells it in a way that's attractive and engaging and just cinematically gorgeous. So yeah, go check that out. If you haven't watched the Clone Wars, you're robbing yourself. Anyway, moving right along. Lane Kramer is here in the chats. You're one of the first ones out of the gate. That's really, really cool. He asks, Bo-katan with Django's poncho to hide some of that limited arm movement. You know what? I'm going to paraphrase Thundercat from the Book of Boba Fett and say, and hide all that gorgeous stitching? No way, man. No way, man. And besides, I've been very, very vocal about how little I'm affected by the range of motion on Bo-katan. You don't really need more than 90 degrees in that arm to get great poses. And I recognize that the reasons that they did it were very practical, and I totally embrace them. It's totally fine, and I just dig it. And I'll show you today as I pose it up that there's the 90 degrees on the arms. I know I'm saying totally a lot, but I'm going to say it one more time. Totally fine. David Lynchen is agreeing that this is the way. It's always the way. Steve131 is here. Hello, Steve. All right, once again, talking. I'm totally going to get this whole Brit speak. I mean, the fact that you guys are like totally throwing out the colloquialisms and spelling them out is great. I love this so much. Keith Lee is here. Hello, Keith. Is Allie with you as well? She may not want to tune in because I know she felt like the Mandalorian episode this week was a big snooze fest, and I am quoting when I say snooze fest. Terry Smith is here. As always, that's a great relief that he's on the show. Because otherwise, well, what would we do? Steve131 asking is if the Clone Wars was any good. Yeah, absolutely. I think I already got that out of there. Figurassic Park is here. Hello, Ahmed. How you doing? Figurassic Park has a great Instagram page channel. Is it an Instagram channel? I think it's channel. Go check it out because he is really on point. He's the only person that I've actually gone on record as calling for him to just stop with the figure photography because he's too bloody good. He's got the posing game down too. Coffee's going down really, really well today, folks. Really, really well. We got another question here from Lane Kramer. Admit it, you saw that deluxe Mythos Yoda and you put your finger to the chin of your beard and went, nice. I did. That's putting it mildly. I was like, wow, okay, home run, out of the park. Well, job well done, Sideshow. And I don't think anyone's going to disagree with that. I haven't seen any negative comments about it, which is a rarity in the collecting world. And I think that's got a lot to say. Speaking of people who really pose very well, Kumar is here. Hello, Kumar. Nice to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. I am not... It calls to you, listen, feel it, and reach for it. It's very rare that we get a Maz Kanata quote on this channel, so I felt the need to showcase it to everybody. But yeah, very, very cool. I'm not going to break free of my my vocabulary is failing me today, guys. I blame the bourbon last night. So Brandy Woods can only stay an hour. Hey, Brandy Woods. I already berated her for that via text. So yeah. How dare you have a life? How dare you? Christina Payne bringing the pain and other things as well. She's bringing the reminders to hit that like button, which is something that I would never remember to do unless somebody in the chats reminded me to do so. And I'm really appreciative for that. Thank you. It helps the channel. I haven't really been doing a lot for the channel lately, as you all know. It's basically been these live streams and no actual videos of my own. I do enough video making for Sideshow that I feel like that gets my that really feeds me, gives me the fix that I need. So that's really cool that I have that outlet. Scott Heidemeyer, as we said, is here in the chats. Scott's getting over COVID, man. He's having a day, a week, a couple of weeks. Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there, buddy. Can't wait to see you next week. We're gonna have some good times and talk about some important stuff. As Yoda always liked to say, may divorce be with you. Yeah, told you guys things were changing. Anyway, Brandy Woods getting their eyesight is still wonky. That is just so weird. That is just such a weird thing for COVID to do to somebody. COVID is freaking rude, guys. And I hate to. I was gonna say that I hate to say I told you so, but I love to say I told you so. It's actually one of my favorite things to do. But I've been saying all along, viruses are treacherous mofos, man. They are. You think that they're gone and then they rear their ugly heads up. I'm looking at you, herpes. I'm looking at you, chickenpox, coming back years later as shingles, even worse than chickenpox. Man, not many things can make you look back fondly on chickenpox, but shingles, from what I understand, is definitely one of those things. Bad Wolf Media is here. Hello, Bad Wolf Media. Yeah, we got to talk about upcoming concerts, man, because I'm just going to segue into something here really quick, then get back into the geek stuff. But I guess one could say that talking about rock and roll can be considered geeky. And Extreme is back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not sure how many of you fondly remember the band Extreme from back in the late 80s, early 90s. That's when they had their big hit. There were two big hits, More Than Words and Wholehearted. But those two hits do nothing to really showcase what that band was all about. Absolute virtuoso guitarist in the form of Nuno Betancourt, Nuno the Great, Nuno Greatencourt. I just made that up. I hope it doesn't stick. It's awful. But yeah, Extreme is back with a new record. They've released the first single from it called Rise. It has one of the most amazing and, wow, epic, I dare say epic in the proper sense of the word, because it's just lengthy guitar solos that I've ever heard. Everybody's talking about it. Rick Beato broke it down on his YouTube channel. It is currently rated, I want to say, either the number 10 most engaged or most watched YouTube, as of yesterday, YouTube video. It's really insightful. So go watch that. Go listen to that song and listen and check out his breakdown. Oh, we finally caught up to where we're at one more second. Who else am I missing here? Louis Libbets is here. Hello, Louis. Or is it Luis? I don't even, it's Louis. I'm pretty sure it's Louis. Might be Louis. So many different ways to pronounce that name. John Galgano is here, which is only appropriate because we are going to be talking Star Wars, and I love having people who know more about Star Wars than I do in the chats when I talk about Star Wars. Love to learn a new thing. So welcome, John. Good to have you with us. Linda is here. Hello. You've been pretty regular lately. It's good to see you back. Let's see. Everybody's saying hello to each other. I love that about this bit of community that we have going on here. It started with Paul Sun-Hoo Lee's channel on Bitter Asian Dude Inc. And everybody seems to have gravitated over to here on Saturday mornings, creating a nice little weekend sandwich of me and Paul. Looking forward to whatever he's got planned this weekend. I hope he's got something good. I haven't been in touch with Paul. We told each other we'd text each other this week, and it just never transpired. Life happens. Life finds a way to get in the way. That's the quote, right? Anyway, Collectors Guild is here. TK4221 is here. I think we've already said here. Some guy. Thank you, man. This isn't Guy Clunder, is it? Is this Guy Clunder? Because that would be really cool if it's Guy Clunder. He typically doesn't join the live streams because when I start the live streams at 7 a.m. out there and Guy likes to sleep in. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? Oh, Tommy K is back in the cold, back home from the DK, right? Is that it? It's DK? Yeah? Dominican Republic? DR, that's it. DR. DK. What's DK? I want to say that's what... Wasn't that like... No, that was Bundesrepublik... Oh, I'm thinking BDR, the BRD, the Bundesrepublik Deutschland, which was the official name of West Germany back in the Cold War days. Anyway, but moving right along, Mahmoud is here. Hello, Mahmoud. Good to see you as well. Let's see. Collectors Guild, of course. Are you talking about... Oh, you have to be talking about TK421 Collectors Guild, and I agree. Everything about his channel is just engaging. He's very enthusiastic, and it comes across, it's very infectious. So you can't help but feel his excitement and his absolute unbridled joy every time he's opening up a new collectible. And I get it. I totally feel that as well. Let's see. Oh, Keith. Oh, we got to jump. Our first big jump of the day. That's basically the chat's telling me that I need to hurry my butt up. Keith Lee hitting us with a super chat. Speaking of Flynn's, what arcade game got the most quarters out of you? Man, Kung Fu Master took a lot of my money. Kung Fu Master took a lot of my money, and I was really bad at it. There was this guy named Randy Ward who played it as well back in my hometown, and he was amazing. He beat it on a regular basis, but I could never reach his level. I was never very good at arcade games, to be fair. Also Tempest. Tempest sucked up a lot of my quarters. Tron sucked up a lot of my quarters. Dragon's Lair and Space Ace. Yeah. Those games were just mean. Rude. I would go so far as to say they were rude. Yeah. Oh, God. Let's see. Yeah, we're going to talk about Figure Posing Channel is here. I told you I was going to do this. Yeah, I'm totally in agreement. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was a weird choice to change the style. I feel like it was a welcome choice to change the tone of it. It was abrupt. I feel like that abruptness probably hit some people in the wrong way, but sometimes you need to be shaken to your core, and I don't think it went that far, but it made a lot of people pay attention, and of course, it was divisive. Let's call it divisive, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. Oh, yeah, look who somebody's bringing up that quarter Batman figure. The first look video for the quarter scale Batman from the Dark Knight just dropped on Sideshow's YouTube channel. Go check it out. Very well edited and narrated. I don't know who did that, but man, that guy's awesome. Excuse me, I think I need more coffee. But yeah, great figure. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm gonna have a hard time not having that up on a shelf somewhere. It's a little bit out of my range. Yes, dude, I haven't heard the whole album. I've only heard the one song. But when that album drops, I'll be getting it as well. Yes, Nuno Betancourt is a legend. Moving right along. Who else? Hugo Ramirez is here. Hey, Hugo, good to see you. Indeed, the one quarter Batman looks good. Everybody's in agreement the quarter Batman looks good. What bourbon did I have last night? Asked Collectors Guild 77. The only bourbon that I ever buy these days is Buffalo Trace. It's affordable, and if I wound up spending $20 more for that bottle than I typically do, then I would not feel like I'd been cheated. It's a really solid, sippable bourbon, and that's usually how I like to drink my bourbon. I like my bourbon neat, which sometimes it has a tendency to bite me in the butt, because if I'm not paying attention to how much I've had, then it can really sneak up on me. Bourbon's weird that way. It takes a long time for the full effect to kick in. So if I just keep sipping it and pour a little more, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I don't feel drunk. But I keep sipping it, and then like an hour later, I'm just like, boo! It just hits me. So bourbon I cannot have on a regular basis, but every so often I allow myself to, yeah, a little bit of a treat. Brandon Wood says Mando turned into Andor. Mandor? I'll stop. That's it. Let's see. I think I've said hi. Oh, Liza Sella is here. Liza Sella actually, yeah, responded to one of my Facebook posts, in which I'll be talking about here in a minute. But yeah, I had to go back and edit that post because it sounded like I have some insider information about that, and I really don't. It's just my prediction. I strongly predict that something is coming to Mandalorian, and it's very exciting. Very exciting times. Never pass up an opportunity to quote, what's his name? Not Mouse. Tank. That's it. Tank from The Matrix. That poor guy. He needed better representation. Everybody's agreeing. Where's Guy? Weren't you going to drag him on here for a guest appearance? As soon as I get the tech worked out, this week I have to perform surgery on my computer. It's an old machine. It's a 2017 iMac, and it needs a new hard drive. The hard drive is showing every sign that it is about to kick off. And just by kick off, I mean kick the bucket, die, yeah. So I don't need that to be happening when I'm like in a rush to edit a project or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of this weekend and the early part of next week and swap out my hard drive for a solid state drive and probably upgrade the RAM as well. So yeah, surgery. I love doing new things. It'll be fun. And let's just hope that I don't break the machine while I'm doing it. Scott, you're going to come over and help me with that, right? Brandy, you've got it so bad. Yeah. Yeah. Bad Wolf Media, getting back to extreme. Get the funk out. Play with me, Kid Ego. And I swear to you, they are not saying funk in that song. I swear to you, they're not saying funk in that song. It was a different time. So you couldn't drop that F-bomb nearly as often as you do now. Mother Don't Want to Go to School Today. That legitimately is a song that I used to sing to myself every morning when I woke up and had to get ready for work. Yeah. In fact, I still do periodically. I forgot all about Kid Ego. That was their first MTV video, right? Metric Ton of Killer Tunes. That second album, Pornography. Every single song on it is just great. There is a shortage. I don't want to say there's a shortage of perfect albums in this world, but perfect albums are few and far between. I definitely feel like Pornography by Extreme is one of those albums. I should make a list. Terry's top 10 perfect albums. Yeah, I should write that down, but I won't. They're kind of guaranteeing that I'm going to forget about it before it's all over. Did I see, Hugo asked, the promo video for Nuno, Tom Morello, and some other great ones are showcasing Fender guitars while playing Game of Thrones intro rock version. Doing so, yes. That was, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but Google this stuff, because back when Game of Thrones was still a thing, Fender came out with some Game of Thrones guitars specific to each house. And they were absolute works of art, released in very limited editions and extremely expensive, like between 10 and 20 grand per guitar, I want to say. Maybe as much as 50. I don't know. I'd have to go back and look. And I'm live right now, so I won't do that. I'm scanning down the chats, and I'm seeing a question I really am eager to talk about. But yeah, check those things out. Just Google Fender Game of Thrones guitars and just look at those things. Like the House Targaryen, I believe that it was not a Telecaster. It was a oh god, I can't believe it was a Stratocaster. Yeah, it was a Stratocaster with just like legitimate leather inlays on the body that were just in the form of of dragon scales. Absolutely gorgeous. I was very excited about those. Yeah, so go check those out. That's some geeky goodness that maybe some of you didn't know about. Oh, Kent Poole Collects is here. Everybody check out Kent Poole Collects. He deviates from my usual pool of YouTube people, but Kent and I go back to my days when I lived in Charlotte. That's where we met and hung out quite a bit. We very briefly did a show on his channel called The Toy Drive. Yeah, where we were on our way to do another show, and we would just legitimately like record ourselves in the car taking questions and talking about collectibles and such. Kent's specialty is Marvel Legends figures from Hasbro, and he has every single one of them. He has a complete collection of Marvel Legends, and it's very impressive, especially given how prolific Hasbro is with their Marvel Legends line. So go check him out. He's a lot of fun, cool guy. Coaches volleyball. Yeah. Don't know if I shared too much there, dude, but that's actually kind of a cool gig. Here's the question I was talking about from Kunja Club. Hello, Kunja Club. Welcome to the channel. Queensryche versus Extreme. Who wins? Are we talking about a cage match, like a gladiatorial arena sort of a thing? Wow. I kind of feel like if that were the case, it would kind of be a draw. I don't think either one of those bands features a whole lot of really physical type of guys. But if you're talking about music, I don't know, man. They're both, it's almost like an apples and oranges sort of thing, because Extreme does have that sort of really chunky, funky vibe going for them. But Queensryche is just very epic in scope, almost cinematic. Look at Operation Mindcrime. You know, from beginning to end, that amazing concept album from the late '80s that Queensryche put out. Sort of needs to be made into a movie, and almost was with the videos that they did. It was epic in scope and in vision, and told just this gorgeous dystopian sci-fi sort of tale. And I loved every minute of it. Got to see them perform the whole album live back then, probably around 1990 or something like that, in a small venue in Springfield, Illinois. I think Stryper opened up for them. Remember Stryper, Christian rock band that then gave up being a Christian rock band and now maybe is back to being a Christian rock band? I'm not sure how that's working for them, but anyway. AJ Agrusa is here, and he brought his beard, I'm assuming. Beard envy. Always having beard envy with AJ Agrusa. And Collectors Guild, of course, is here. Buffalo Trace, he agrees the Buffalo Trace is fantastic. I have tried Eagle Rare. I like Eagle Rare a lot. The only bottle of it I bought for a friend because I know that it's his favorite bourbon. So I picked it up for him, just on a lark. I happened to be there when the place up the street got some in, and I was like, yeah, man, I'll take that. I got a friend who will be grateful for that. He'd done me quite a few favors, and I was just returning the favor by getting him drunk, hopefully on many evenings. Yeah. Almost caught up. Oh my God, is Terry ever going to get caught up? Let's see, figure posting channel, those were great. I feel judged. Don't care. Macs and Nikons versus PCs and Canons, eh? Man, that is a war that just is not likely to end anytime soon. But you know I don't judge. I used Canons for a number of years when I worked as a professional in-house photographer for a company that I won't mention. Yeah. Mandor. You know, that's an interesting question, and I don't know if we should segue into that. I'm just going to scan down here really quick and make sure that I'm not missing anything crazy. Very impressive. Too kind, fan. Thank you. That's all right. Oh, really? Maybe. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea. I mean, I know that they don't have Jeff Tate singing for them these days, and I think that they're both using the name Queensryche, aren't they? I'm not sure how that's working, but it would be nice to see the full band. If they have reunited, then I'm not aware of it. But I do know that the original members of Queensryche were performing as Queensryche without Jeff Tate, and Jeff Tate was doing the same without the original members of Queensryche. What a weird thing to do. Just suck it up and be professionals, man. Just suck it up and be professionals. But anyway, what was I going to talk about? Yeah, let's move on to The Mandalorian. What a great episode. For those of you who weren't aware, we had a really exciting... I was giddy. The first 10 minutes of Andor, I was absolutely giddy. Some of the best combat sequences, I want to say space combat, because most of it happened in Atmo. But some of the best ship-to-ship combat sequences, fighter-to-fighter combat sequences that we've seen in all of Star Wars took place during that show, which took me completely by surprise. I never expected to walk away from that episode having that sort of opinion. Can't remember the name of the director for this one, but shooting this kind of shooting a sci-fi action adventure sort of thing is not in his repertoire. He's never done anything like this before. But very, very strongly directed. He paid very close attention to detail. I had no complaints about this episode whatsoever. I very rarely have complaints about a single episode of The Mandalorian, but there are sometimes things that will make me cock an eyebrow. See? Yeah, it can happen. But getting back to it, there was that sudden and abrupt shift after the title sequence, where all of a sudden we're transported to Coruscant, and we see an entire sequence, basically an entire episode sandwiched by these amazing Mandalorian sequences, but an entire episode where the meat and potatoes of it was basically a standalone story of Dr. Pershing. That's the cloning scientist that we saw with the the contractor. What's his name? There I go. That's my ADHD making me forget forget people's names. What's the name of the guy who was the client? Let's just call him the client. But anyway, he's the guy who, all the way through the first 2 seasons of Mandor. I've officially started calling it that now. That didn't take long. All the way through the first 2 seasons of Mandor, we saw Dr. Pershing being this sort of ambivalent sort of character who he seemed out of place. He very much cared for the asset, aka the child, aka Grogu, in a way that apparently nobody else in the Empire did, and he took some heat for it. But when he fell into the hands of the New Republic at the end of Season 2, went through this transitional phase where he had to be reindoctrinated into the New Republic, along with several other former imps, and including Lieutenant Kane. That was fun. Oh, by the way, spoilers coming. So if you want to silence, yeah, probably too little, too late on that. Sorry for that. But you can say what you want about that episode. It was, and I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but what it did showcase was some freaking fun Easter eggs. Did you guys catch all those? The most obvious one, I think, would be the Opera House. The Opera House from that scene in Revenge of the Sith, where Anakin and the Emperor were having, not the Emperor, where Anakin and Palpatine were having their discussion about Darth Plagueis the Wise. They brought that back in, and that's where Pershing was giving his presentation, his sort of TED talk to all those dignitaries from Coruscant. Which glorious scene. It was good to see that building back again and used in a different way. It's really neat because the way that it goes out on sort of an armature, right? It's this massive amphitheater that just kind of floats in the middle of nowhere, and the only way that you get to it is by this little bridge. It's a gorgeous bit of. I wonder who designed that. Was that an original Macquarie thing, Or was that something that was designed specifically for Revenge of the Sith? I'd be very curious to find out. I feel like this is something that I knew at one point and have forgotten. What I do know is that McQuarrie did design, one of McQuarrie's paintings did feature some physical geography of Coruscant emerging from a plaza. So what we saw there with what winds up being called, well, I've got a note of it here, the Peak of Umate, was based on a Ralph McQuarrie illustration from back in the Return of the Jedi days, from 1983. And they just kind of translated that, made it a little bit more gothic, I guess, in appearance and whatnot. But it's the top of the tallest mountain on Coruscant emerging from the floor, from the ground of this plaza, and it's only like, I don't know, maybe 10 feet high, if that, coming out of the ground. It says a lot about what went into just basically paving over your entire planet and then just building vertically from there. But that was really, really cool. But what I don't... Oh, another great one. I'm just going to say this right now. The photon fizzle. Kane actually says to Persian, come on, let me get you a photon fizzle. That is a throwback to Star Wars droids. One of the episodes of Star Wars droids when 3PO has to go work in a diner. It's really, really cool. I was like, how do I know that? How do I know the photon fizzle? And looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, that's so cool. But the final Easter egg that I want to bring up before getting back into questions here is when they were at the plaza with the Peak of Umate, there was some music playing in the background, sort of Disney-esque. You know how, like, in the background when you're walking around Disney, they always have those Disney show tunes that are playing, like instrumental versions of songs and whatnot. They were doing that, and it was the March of the Resistance. The March of the Resistance from the soundtrack for The Force Awakens. That's the music that was playing for the entirety of that scene. I want to say that it started out with something else, but then it just kind of gradually transitioned into the March of the Resistance. I don't know if that's a clue of something to come. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'm going to scroll down. I've got something else I want to talk about with Mando, but first I want to make sure that I stay sort of caught up on comments and everything. All right, Scott Heinemeyer is volunteering to help me fix my computer. Thank you, dude. That's going to be an epic visit over here. We'll have to do that. Oh, God. Are you available the first part of the week? We talked about getting together for chicken wings on your side of the river. Well, I'll have chicken wings. You'll probably have a cheeseburger. What's the name of that place that we go to that you took me to that once? Best chicken wings I've ever had. Period. I mean, as far as like the typical buffalo style wings, never had better. Never had better. But then my benchmark is pretty low. Old bar called Snappers in Edwardsville, Illinois. That's no longer in existence. Even the building is gone. I think it was replaced by a Home Depot or something like that. That is funny. That is funny, Liza. I volunteered to be the old priest, Scott. You want to be the young priest? You are younger than me, so I guess it fits. This is going to be fun. This is going to be fun. I love performing surgery on computers. Showing us the beginning of the First Order's formation. See, the First Order is still decades away. I mean, you'd have to assume that it's going to take decades for the Empire to evolve into the First Order. And I'm having thoughts. Right now. But I don't know. Oh, well, that was a big jump. Oh, big jump. Got to scroll back quite a ways. Bad Wolf Media saw Queensryche in St. Louis in '91. That's when I saw them. That's exactly when I saw them. It would have been 1991 on the Building Empires tour. Did Mindcrime in full, but then we also had Silent Lucidity and everything from that record, from the Empire record, which was, God. It's like they did Mindcrime, they did Empire. Nothing else really grabbed me after that. Same thing happened with Extreme. Extreme 3 was pretty good, had moments, but I don't know. Freaking grunge, man. Grunge ruined my life. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to do some triage here with these comments, just so I can move myself along here. You know what? I think you're probably right, Conjure Club. I think those were really, really close to being along the same time frame. And the whole notion of ballads being released as singles. You know, it kind of takes me back. Another band that happened to would have been Warrant. That ridiculous Cherry Pie song kind of distracted people, and they didn't know what to expect when they went in and bought the record. Cherry Pie was very much a corporate mandated track. They legitimately asked them, they were trying to get them to basically, we need a love in an elevator, is how they put it. We need your version of a love in an elevator, which is why the groove is kind of similar, but it's not what they wanted to do. They did not want to do that pop bubblegum metal. They really, really wanted to do some hard rock, and they had some hard rock tracks on that album, Cherry Pie. But man, grunge really devastated that band. Yeah, the advent of grunge really did. Oh, okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. TK421 agrees that the TIE Interceptor dogfight was absolutely jaw-dropping. Jaw-dropping. Jaw Binks? Yeah, anyway. Yeah, beginning to end, man. Everything about that episode was textbook. The choreography, if you want to call it, on the dogfight was next level. I mean, I would put that dogfight up against anything that we saw in the new Top Gun movie. I know that's a strong statement, but I stand by it. It's really that good. What do I think about repeating? I'm assuming you mean same characters in different scales of the same version. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. They're catering to two different types of collector. I mean, that's fine. Just as much as I don't have a problem with having characters released in the Black Series format and a Hot Toys version of the same thing. It's, you know, they're catering to different tastes, different collectors' focuses, and that's totally fine. Yeah. I don't know why anybody would have a problem with that, if I'm being honest, if I'm being bold. Hopefully I'm not being too bold there, but it's focus your energies on something. If people are having an issue, I don't follow what people are saying about collectibles. It's just a viper's nest that I just refuse to descend into. I'm much more into talking about people who are enthusiastic about things, and if your thing is to just find things to complain about, then you really are focusing your energy in a terrible, terrible way. Just focus on what you love. And to say, if this is what's happening, if people are saying, oh, why is Hot Toys putting out quarter scale figures? I would counter with, why not? Why not? Do it. Again, Linda says, I was so frustrated with the Pershing part, I wanted to get back to Mando. I don't think that, Brandy Woods and I have talked about this briefly, and I think a lot of people have made comparisons between this episode, the Pershing story, and Andor. Andor is a completely different level of Star Wars storytelling. It's more adult in scope. Can you say that? Adult in scope. And it gave me something that I desperately needed to see in Star Wars. As a 52-year-old Star Wars fan, I really liked it. One of the things that I liked about collecting comic books from the 80s all the way up through the 90s and into the aughts was that by the time the aughts rose, comic books in like 2001 through 2010 or something like that really matured. The comic books matured with me. They seem to be kind of digressing a little bit now, like there's some driving force asking the creators to go back down to a younger level. Hook them while they're young, if you will. And I get that. I understand the reason behind it, but it doesn't attract me because I liked the way that my comic books matured along with me. And I wanted to see Star Wars do that on some level too. As much as I love Mando, as much as I love the purity of it, and insofar as its adherence to just the source material that inspired Star Wars, it was great, but part of me really wanted something more, and Andor delivered. And now we're seeing that sort of maturity come into an episode of The Mandalorian. They're talking, it gets a little bit darker. It gets a little bit more political. We're seeing a little bit more subtlety and nuance in the characters, and I welcome that. But I also recognize that that's not going to be everybody's jam. A lot of people tune into Star Wars and they just want to see things that are kick-ass and fun. And if that's your jam, then I'm not even going to try to take that from you. I agree that is at the core of Star Wars fandom, and it should continue. But I think there's room enough in all of Star Wars fandom for something like this episode of The Mandalorian to exist. And if they want to do more of it, I'm all in. I'm all in. Oh, dude. I saw that coming a mile away. I mean, I knew that was going to happen, but I didn't know it was going to look as cool. Talking about Mando ejecting from the ship, well, basically dropping out of the ship, amidst those TIE interceptors, yeah, that was money. And the way one of them peeled off and went after him, I mean, you can almost just hear the discussion happen, the radio chatter happening, like the flight lead just saying, you know, like TIE 4, break off, take care of that, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. And just the way that the suspense built as he was closing in, getting ready to blow up the N1, and Mando just jumped in and took off right at the last minute. Again, toe to toe with Top Gun. I swear to God. I know that I'm going to be skipping some people's. I know that I'm going to be skipping some people's comments here, and I'm sorry, but I do really want to get caught up, and a lot of them are kind of tending to be repetitive, and I don't want to address an issue more than once. Bad Wolf Media has an interesting point. I don't think Kane is really changing side. I think she's working for Gideon to eliminate anyone that might give too much info to the New Republic. Yes, that's exactly what was going on there. There's a wolf amongst the sheep, my friends. That's exactly what she's doing. She is a plant. She's a mole. She's there pretending, but in reality, what she was doing was she was feeling out Pershing to see exactly what his plans were, what he was going to do. And there is a moment where when he goes to her room and says, yeah, let's do it. Let's go get that med kit or whatever it was that they were after, that mobile med kit. Mobile science lab. I forget. You can feel free to put it in the comments, but I don't think it's essential to this conversation. But there's a moment where he says, yeah, let's go do this. And you can just see the look on her face. What's that actor's name? I wrote it down. Katie M. O'Brien, who was in Quantumania, by the way. Did you know that? Mm-hmm. Where she's just sad. You can tell that she kind of liked Gideon. She was hoping that she was kind of prodding him to go work with the New Republic using his experiments. But at the same time, she liked him and didn't want him to do that. And you can see that moment happen where she's just like, okay, all right, I guess I've got to betray you. Yeah. And that was sad. That was really sad for me. But at the same time, I was like, you absolute dick. If I'm not being too bold. Seriously, she is a bad apple. Speaking of bad apples, that kind of brings me to what's Bo-katan up to? What is she up to? I know that last week I talked a little bit about how I think she's going to wind up. I'm sorry. My desk is too high. There we go. I know that I talked a little bit last week about how I thought that she was going to be the big bad. She was going to wind up being a black hat because of the way that she referred to her family's governments of Mandalore as ruling all of Mandalore, and that's just a darker way to put it. But now I'm starting to have second thoughts. Because it seems like she may have drunk the Kool-Aid. She may have had a religious experience upon seeing that mythosaur. And who wouldn't? That's a big beast. Yeah. But we'll have to see how that goes, man. I'm really kind of curious to see what she's up to. She's obviously playing the mythosaur close to the chest. She knew what she was doing by not taking her helmet off after all that went down. So now she's been quote unquote redeemed and is no longer an apostate. We'll have to see how that goes, what she's planning to do, because she did lose her tribe. She lost her clan. She is a leader without a people. And we do kind of know that there's no love lost between Bo-katan and the Armorer. So really looking forward to see where that goes. Scott Heinemeyer, you and I are going to fight. And that's all I'll say about that. What was the band around the same time that did? You know, if you'd asked me on any other day, I would have been able to just drop that name. Totally. Once there was this boy. I won't do that ever again. No more singing on the channel. That's it. No more singing. Or maybe I should start my own drinking game. And if Terry sings, then you all have to, like, drain your glass. Sorry, Bob. You never know where this channel is going to go. It's actually the live stream here is very, very free form, and I have every intention of talking about stuff, and I will get to it, and I try to get to it before the 2-hour maximum that I try to give for myself, and I try to get it done in an hour. which very rarely takes place and doesn't look like it's going to take place this time either. But yeah, sometimes we segue into other types of chatter. It's basically, this is my avenue for talking about stuff that I geek out about, and every so often I do geek out about music. Ando's Climb Flight was emotionally more affecting, but as for fight, yes, it was top notch and hoping for the series. Yeah, the whole Lord Reef, I'm actually not sure what that. I'm drawing a blank on that. But that's. I think for me, the best fight that happened in Andor. Well, yeah, I'm digressing here. I'm going to move on here a little bit. But yeah, I agree with you though. Pershing was an interesting character, and I think he's done. I think he's gone now. I don't think we'll see him back. I think that I think that's not going to happen. They were very, very specific in saying that the Mind Flayer could wipe somebody's mind, and that's what she did. She wiped his mind because she didn't want him sharing his knowledge with the New Republic. That was the great evil. That's the most evil thing I think that has happened in all of The Mandalorian. Possibly in all of Star Wars. I don't know, arguably. You could make a case for it. But that's what really had me riveted, was the realization. You're always wondering, because Kane never struck me as somebody who could be converted. And to see her as part of the program really surprised me. So I was always like, is she for real? Because she seems like she's for real. So I don't know, but in my heart, I just knew that she was going to betray him, and she wanted to betray him. And when that bomb dropped, it just sucked the soul right out of me. And I thought that was bad enough. When she betrayed him to the New Republic, I thought that was bad enough. But when she did that, I mean, that is some Emperor level evil, legitimately, seriously. I mean, all she needs is some Force abilities, and she could be a Sith. Absolutely evil. Hey TN, good to see you here. And yeah, dude, I think that's going to be my next figure. I have, coming to me now, on the way, Hunter, finally, and also, Axe Woes. It's weird the things that I'll draw a blank on. It's so weird the things that I'll draw a blank on. So I'm all caught up now. My monthly figure allotment is all caught up through the month of March. So in April, assuming that starts to ship by then I will be able to get my Ahsoka figure. I'm really stoked for that. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. I would think that even people who are on the fence about Ahsoka in general, if you were trying to determine which Ahsoka figure, if you could limit yourself to one, which Ahsoka figure would you get? As great as that Clone Wars Ahsoka figure is, and I love mine, the portrait, the quality on that portrait, sculpt, paint, everything. It's the full package. Beautiful, beautiful figure. Again, that's one that's, I don't do this a lot, where I have just one single figure showcased on a single DTOF shelf, but I'm going to do that with this one. Definitely. It's going to have its own shelf. Hear that, guys? Some of you are going to have to go. I like to torture my figures. I'm like Sid from Toy Story. Yeah, dude. For those who were not engaged with this episode of The Mandalorian, this is important. This is important. The Coruscant segment is going to be vital for the show. I think it's laying the groundwork, possibly for the return of Thrawn, and that's the next point I wanted to bring up, because there was a very key quote that happened in that dogfight sequence where Bo-katan says, "That's a lot of ships for an Imperial warlord." And for some reason, it didn't even occur to me until yesterday. I was in a conversation with Scott Heinemeyer. I was outside on my back porch, and I told him that anybody who was like watching me out the window of their house, any of my neighbors who were just watching me and couldn't hear what was being discussed, they had to do, in fact, I'm just going to reenact it for you guys right now. You okay with this? Posing by proxy? Here it is. I'm going to make sure I don't bang my head on this. But I'm out there just talking to Scott, and I'm just being cool, and I'm just like, all right, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then I just realized, oh my God, they're talking about Thrawn, and this is how my posture went. I was like, straight up did that on the back porch. It had to look hilarious. I had a very physical reaction to that realization that this has to be what they're talking about. They have to be talking about the return of Thrawn. At least I hope so, which would lead directly into Ahsoka. I kind of like the idea that they're going to use this that they're going to use each show to kind of segue into different story arcs in the companion shows. Something happened in episode 1 of The Mandalorian that I cannot talk about publicly, and that I think is going to lead directly into another show as well. But that's really cool. I drink coffee and I know things, and don't tell you. Badwell brings up an interesting point regarding fandom and the conundrum of geeks and their fandom. The whole notion that creators can't win for losing. It's like no matter which direction that they go, you're gonna piss off somebody. And you're right. It's if they hadn't done this, then people would have been crying foul. Where's Pershing? Whatever happened to Pershing? But now that they've done it, they're like, what? But I want my pew pew. There's room for it all, everybody. There's room for it all. Does the one? Oh, no, dude, definitely not. The warlord just doesn't want to share it. Yeah, the Emperor, who, as we've seen in the sequel trilogy, is still alive. Don't get me started. Hope's truly trash. Yeah, that's why I'm here. I'm here to trash everybody's hopes. Not really. I was never convinced Hot Toys will do the N1, but with how the series is going, I will be very, very surprised if that happens, but pleasantly surprised. Yeah. Again, Hot Toys has showcased a TIE Fighter. Hot Toys has showcased a Jedi Starfighter, and now Hot Toys has showcased an N1 at Comic-Con. And the first two were never saw the light of day, and I can't bring myself to believe that that the N1 will be. It would just be so expensive. It would be so expensive, and I know I couldn't afford it, but I'm not like most people. As we've talked about before, there's a lot of bad handling going on, and I tried to showcase that a lot in How to Be a Poser. You have to treat these things with respect. You do. They're expensive, and the attention that's paid to the minutia means that there are going to be some areas where you have to exercise caution. When you're maneuvering joints, always manipulate that joint as closely to the joint itself as possible, for one thing. And that also goes for basically anything with a maneuverable joint, especially if that joint is tight. If you start to bend an arm and you recognize that arm is really a tight joint, on a really tight joint, okay, back off, move your fingers in, and just exercise greater caution. Because the key thing to, I broke my Ahsoka figure, is I broke it. Yeah. I don't break many figures. And always when I break a figure, there's something I could have been doing differently that would have prevented it. It's always been user error on my part. Always. These things don't break themselves. I was pretty sure there had to be a larger ship just lurking out there. Yes, it is a Imp Star 1. And it's called the Chimera. I'm convinced. Oh, had he hinted that? John says Filoni has already hinted that he's planning on a huge crossover for all these shows. I'm kind of curious to find out if you mean that there's going to be like a crossover event, like a mega event in a comic book. Okay, that would track. I've actually noticed that there's a lot of similarity between the writing style of The Mandalorian Season 3 especially and comic book writing. It's really kind of interesting. Yeah. Does anyone else in the galaxy wear glasses? I couldn't think of any other than Maz. That's interesting. I can't think of anybody else either. So maybe that's why I haven't been cast in one of the Star Wars shows. It's the glasses, right? It's got to be the glasses. Huh. Hello, Mark. Looking at your, yeah. Wondering if we know each other personally, regardless. Bad Wolf thinks that next week will be a big for deep dive fans because next week's episode is co-written by Filoni and he usually plays with his own toys. That's when we'll find out. That makes sense because the last time we saw Thrawn was in Rebels and Thrawn, bringing back Thrawn, that kind of made Thrawn Filoni's baby. Yeah, Timothy Zahn created him and everything, but this isn't a novel. This is a TV show, and Filoni's. I love that man. Thank you, Dave, for all you've done. Thank you. Oh, that's key. AJ Agrusa says, let the figure warm up if you're in a cold environment. That is accurate. Plastic softens as it warms. It also becomes more brittle as it grows cold. So if you're one of those people like me, I just realized I forgot to turn the heat up. No wonder I'm feeling chilly. Like my arms are cold right now. I'm surprised I don't have goosebumps. But yeah, make sure you've got, I mean, seriously, if you'd like to keep your house cold, then get yourself a space heater for when you're messing with your toys because you really want that ambient temperature to be decently comfortable. Room temperature should be on the warmer side because that is going to soften up those joints and especially those tiny little wrist pegs. Yeah, that's why frequently if I notice that the wrist pegs are tight, then I'll break out a heat gun or a hairdryer and I'll heat that stuff up to limit the possibility of me breaking them. And almost invariably, when I've broken a wrist peg on a 6-scale figure, it's been when the room was a little bit cold and I didn't take that extra precaution. So caution all you right now out there. If you're going to be messing with changing hands on your figures, if it's cold in your room, bring a heat gun into play. Better safe than sorry. Better safe than sad. Oh, the other day your name was mentioned by many people in a popular YouTube channel for Hot Toys Collectibles and your reputation as a poser is off the charts. Well, that's nice to hear. Thank you, Gambino. Wow. Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, that makes me happy. Thank you. I don't follow a lot of YouTube channels, and I'm not really cognizant of my reputation. Oh, Club 6 scale in full effect, and we just went. Is one F-bomb enough to make it R-rated? I don't know. I'm just gonna go ahead and skip that. Let's limit the use of the F-bombs. I don't even know why that track is in there. Oh, I don't know. Sorry for that interruption, everybody. Did I hit pause on accident? Where'd the tunes go? We can't have toy tunes without tunes. There we go. Must have also hit the pause button. I'm letting that comment linger. I think that I'm really obviously touched by it. So thanks, Digambino, for saying that. I don't know which channel you're talking about, but just convey my gratitude. If you happen to find yourself in the comment section of that channel again, and the same people are there, convey my gratitude. I'm really touched. It does. I feel like paradoxically it shouldn't mean as much as it does. Because I'm basically getting props for playing with toys. And in the grander scheme of things, it seems like a small thing, but I'll take it. Thank you. I'm just going to... Really? Dude. That impact can't come quickly, fast or hard enough. I know you're teasing, but you Philistine. Do you really not know? That would surprise me. You have to just be messing with me. Major crossover event with Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, and Skeleton Crew. Well, that tracks. We've already seen hints of it. Cool and blue. That is indeed Darth Maul. Didn't I have an image? That's right. We were talking earlier about the McQuarrie artwork for the mountain, for Coruscant. I actually had an image of that, so let me just go ahead and bring that up here really quick. That's the original McQuarrie artwork for that plaza on Coruscant with the tip of the mountain coming through it. I'm not sure how... I I put this thing into OBS very hastily this morning and didn't really have time to test it and see just how big the file is. It's one of the smaller files that I've included as an image in one of these live streams, so I hope that it's not coming across as pixelated. But just look how, you know, your typical Macquarie color palette there with all those great yellows and purples and magentas and everything. It's beautiful. I've replicated that in a photo or two that I'm very, very proud of, actually. And I'm trying to see if I have one of those photos, because I thought I had. Yeah, this one. No. Maybe. No, not that one. All right. Yeah, it was a vertical shot anyway, so it wouldn't really look as good. But I'm just going to go ahead and take that off. But yeah, check that out. That's really awesome, right? Back to the chats. Is there anything I think I've already touched on all the points that I wanted to talk about, so I'm going to go ahead and close the notebook, and we can start kind of winding this down. It's been going for, what, an hour now? And I do have a lot of things to do. I'm not going to end it yet. It's not over yet. Always quoting Princess Leia. It's not over yet. It is for me, Princess. Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about the potential for Fen Rao to make an appearance. Somebody brought it up to me in a comment recently and on Facebook, and cocked an eyebrow, and thought, wouldn't that be cool? Because Kevin McKidd, it would be really cool to see Kevin McKidd show up and actually be the protector of Concord Dawn. Fen Rao would be amazing, 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 and also open up the door for, well, Gar Saxon's dead. Spoiler alert. Yeah, so too bad we couldn't see Gar Saxon, but we could, as long as you're bringing up people from Rebels, transitioning people from animated to live action, then why not? He's a great, great character. I loved watching his journey during Rebels. That's actually part of the reason for this. I'm binge watching the entirety of the Clone Wars now. That's my thing that I'm doing late into the evenings, and it's been a great, great experience so far. Great experience so far, having watched season 1. I can't wait to dive into season 2. And eventually I am looking forward to doing a rewatch of all of Rebels as well. Maybe even more than the Clone Wars, because I have watched a lot of Clone Wars recently, but I haven't rewatched Rebels in years. Hugo Ramirez read an article where Disney is saying this third season of The Mandalorian is not giving them the view numbers they were expecting. It has them worried for the future of the franchise. All right, I'm gonna need a citation there, man, because I just can't even remotely believe that, at all. And sometimes I feel like if they are, sometimes I feel like there's some false information being projected out there. Yeah, we're not getting the numbers, to make fans afraid and then drive them to actually watch it, to maybe drive up the numbers a little bit. But I can't believe that at all. I can't believe that excitement for The Mandalorian will diminish. No way. No way. A heat gun brand recommendation. No, not a brand, but I will recommend a feature. There are some heat guns out there that actually have a variable temperature setting, so look for one of those, because you're going to want to have it on really low. Those heat guns can get really, really hot, like hot enough to melt your plastic. So just get one that you can adjust the temperature on. Failing that, for 6-scale stuff, a hairdryer, a warm hairdryer will be plenty. It's really all that you need. You don't need to go all in on a heat gun. In fact, when I'm using my heat gun, I frequently have to make sure that the heat is also hitting my fingers. It's like a test, because when it starts to burn my fingers, then I know it's probably going to start to melt the plastic. I'm just sacrificing my body to make sure that everything's okay. But yeah, just go for a hairdryer. That's really all that you need. Heat gun if you're experienced, but if you're not experienced and you're worried about your plastic, and you should be worried about your plastic, you should always be good to your plastic, then yeah, just get a hairdryer. It's all you need. Keith Lee reminding everybody to give a like. That would be awesome. Yeah, let's... Bye, Brandy. Desmond, wow, you slept in a lot today. But at least you were able to join us. Once again, I think a lot of the stuff that you would want to discuss has already been talked about, but you can catch it on the rerun. Yeah. I'd heard something about this. Yes, I still work for Sideshow. Gideon gets freed, likely by Leah Kane, and then the season finally ends, and perhaps in post-credits we see Gideon spinning. Okay. Oh, dude, really? Yeah, that's probably how it's gonna go. Probably how it's gonna go. It does make sense. Because if you introduce Thrawn this early in the game on episode 4 of what, are there 8 episodes per season or something like that? If you introduce Thrawn on episode 4, then where are you going to go with it? Is he going to dominate the rest of the season? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to be really, really hard. And I don't think that that's really the story that they're trying to tell with this season. It feels like if the trailers are to be believed, then it really feels like it's going to be heavily focused on... Again, I think it's going to be Bo-katan is going to have a huge role to play. Yeah, that's a lot to think about. I'm going to have to let that gel a little bit. Let that gel. Just checking here. Wow, we actually, 137 views. 36 concurrent viewers for the peak. I'm actually really surprised by that. I expected that by going live this late that I wouldn't have the audience. And the chats are actually really easy to keep up with this time. Yeah. Oh, really, Keith? That's okay. I'm sorry, man. I really thought you were messing with me. That's totally in your character to just be messing with me on that. So I'm sorry. I hope I didn't offend when I was just like giving you shit because, yeah, sorry, man. But Thrawn is a pretty big character from the early '90s, from the novels in the early '90s, who transitioned into the Rebels TV show to great effect. He's an absolutely dastardly character with a very strange, not really strange, it's almost an admirable code of honor that he carries with him. He's very, very interesting. I really recommend watching Rebels if you haven't. Clearly you haven't because you didn't know who Thrawn was. Because it's the mythology that Dave Filoni and team bring into Star Wars with that show is first rate. It's not like anything that we've ever seen. And again, just like all of the Star Wars animated shows, there's a season or two where they kind of find their footing. And then once they've got the background established, that's where things start to take off. It's not really that they're finding their footing. They're just trying to establish certain elements that they can then bring to bear in later seasons and really create this epic story arc. It's what you might call a slow burn. Clone Wars did that with Ahsoka Tano, and intentionally taking Ahsoka Tano and making her as annoying as possible so that people would hate her, so that over time, by the time you get done with the final season, you absolutely love her and can't imagine your life without her. Kind of reminds me of my marriage, actually, now that I think about it. My ex-wife really did annoy me when I met her. Like, legitimately annoyed me. That's an interesting question, and they don't answer that in the show. They do mention that apparently there's some doubt because misinformation, disinformation, if you will, has been brought up. Nobody really knows where Gideon is. Is he uploaded to a mind flayer? Is he did he escape? We don't know where he is. We don't know where he is. All things are possible until they're not. Yes, exactly so. There was a rumor that he escaped. How do you let that guy slip through your fingers twice? Come on, New Republic. Paul, do your job, man. You've got one job to do. Keep that guy behind bars. Do they use bars? Probably not. It's probably force fields. Yeah, okay, that's a valid point. Yeah, I was really surprised that they brought the Mythosaur in that soon. Not surprised that it happened, just really surprised that they brought it in, like, episode 2. But that's only a tease reveal. I mean, we haven't seen that thing in all of its enormity yet. We don't have any idea how big it is. Oh my God, massive, massive jump in the comments. I love it when that happens. It means the live stream's not over yet. Huh. This is interesting, Desmond. Yes, as I should have known. Desmond comments, it's going to be good. Contract negotiations happen between season 3 and 4. If Disney is saying viewership is down, then it's a negotiating tactic. Yes! That's exactly accurate. I often wonder who gets fooled by this stuff. Who gets fooled by this stuff? Whether you're talking about contract negotiations between Disney and the showrunners of Mandalorian, and the actors on The Mandalorian, and the writers on Mandalorian, or what have you, or if you're talking about politics, you know, I keep thinking about what's going on with in Ukraine, and all the absolutely ridiculous stuff that some of these Russian oligarchs and politicians are saying that to their people, and I'm just like, who's buying this? Do they really think that people are that stupid? Are people that stupid? That's even more horrifying. Yeah. Bad Wolf, getting back to heat guns, yeah, it doesn't cost much to buy a heat gun, but hair dryers are usually still cheaper. Oh, that's a good point. That's a valid point. I considered doing that, but then I slapped myself in the face and said, don't be ridiculous. Not legitimately. It was more of a metaphorical slap in the face. Okay, that's a fair bet, but I think that they will tease Thrawn. Maybe we'll see the Chimera. Maybe we'll just see Thrawn's boots. I don't know. We'd like kind of like what they did with Boba Fett, right? We just saw Boba Fett's boots and his Tusken robes. For those of you who haven't watched Mando season 1, first of all, what are you doing here? Not sure what this means. Not sure what this means. Inquisitors were Obi-Wan. Yeah, we're not seeing any figures from Andor. I would be very surprised. It's not a toy-friendly show. It's just not. It's just. Yeah, that's okay. I like that I put it that way. It's not a toy-friendly show, and I don't think that it's designed to be. Again, it goes back to it being pitched to a more mature audience. So, yeah, we won't. If we see any 6-scale figures from Andor, no one will be more surprised than me. The guy changed his outfit every episode, pretty much. So, which outfit would you go with? It would make more sense to go with an Andor from Rogue One to me than an Andor from his own show, because at least he's wearing the same outfit. But I don't know. If we see an Andor, then that would be my bet that's the one that we would see. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, back of his head in a hollow. Yeah, that would do just as well as his boots. Back of your head or your boots. That's going on a T-shirt. No one would buy that T-shirt. The Heir to the Empire books were awesome. They were. And didn't he come back and do some more? I think Zahn came back and did more Thrawn-related books later on. I stopped reading Star Wars books ages ago. Like I didn't even finish the Yuuzhan Vong War. It just got to be too much. They were just churning them out, and I was like, no. At some point, you have to not only budget your money but your time. And there were other things in my life that were going on at the time. Oh, look, Commander Green's here. Hey, Harold. Good to see you. Yeah, I have 2 people from Charlotte in the chats today. My coffee's cold. That's upsetting. And let's see. Got to give a shout out to Harold's channel, by the way. Commander Green on Instagram. Yeah, as always. Check him out. Great photos. Oh, look at that jump. Jeez, I was just getting ready to say, well, looks like we're wrapped up. But no. Yeah, G68. That was some cold shit. You're changing their names to numbers? Yeah, it was very touching when they shared each other's names, when they introduced themselves to each other. Um, Again, I just feel like I feel like some of that bonding between Kane and Pershing was genuine, but and it really upset her on a certain level that she had to do that she had to do what she felt like she had to do what she did to Pershing. But it does show her absolutely unfettered devotion to the Empire, and yeah, chilly, chilly stuff. I thought my wife was cold. Yeah, dude, seriously. I mean, I squealed with glee when Thrawn showed up on Rebels. And to have him show up in live action, taking it to that level. No. No. I have opinions on that, which I will not utter here. But no, I don't assume that she'll be back. I'm not saying that it's beyond the realm of possibility. I mean, Hollywood's forgiven some crazy shit. It's possible they could forgive this as well, but it's hard to say. Hard to say. A lot of comments about Thrawn. Yes, Thrawn being the big evil. It makes Thrawn because Mandalorian has a history of those big endings. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Boom. Bob, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I think that, but I think I would enjoy either direction that they decide to go with that too. I think that, that watching her transition, because I do think the Children of the Watch are crazy. My friend Dave commented on my Facebook page how stupid the whole keep your helmet on rule is. Yeah, it's a bit deep. That's a bit of deep commitment right there, and it just, I don't know. I've got a lot of opinions on religion, again, that I will not utter here at the risk of offending the wrong people, but it does speak to some of the absolutely crazy things that people do in the name of religion, and it's, I don't know, it's very, very bizarre. And so to have her make that big of a shift, I don't know. I haven't really thought about this too much, and I hesitate to speak before I've actually had time to think about something. But yeah, I could go either way with it at this point. Whether she's seriously actually having that religious experience upon seeing the mythosaur, so maybe she's kind of testing the waters of the Children of the Watch to see if they're a good fit. If you don't mind me mixing a metaphor. Or if she's just being a little bit insidious, so to speak, trying to worm her way in there, and she's going to use the mythosaur as some sort of a catalyst to bring the Children of the Watch to harness that devotion, that religious fanaticism to her own use, which is what people do. They latch on to religious beliefs and use them as a path to power, which I think that's possibly what she's doing here. But if she is legit and actually is making that transition, okay. Although I think the other way would be much more fun. Oh, Louis, I think you missed it. Well, we kind of touched on it, but yeah, man. I mean, I've compared that fight scene to Top Gun quite a bit already in this live stream. I don't think I need to belabor the point, but you're right. It's very much Top Gun style. What I would like to talk about is poor R5-D4 took a pounding during that flight scene, didn't he? Man, just flying all over the place. That was a great comedic foil used to fabulous effect. And again, I can't give props enough to the director and the writers of that episode. I felt like it was a perfect episode. I loved it in so many ways. It was like having a sandwich with Andor meat with Mandalorian bread. It was really fun for me. Yeah, I know that's been brought up, but I don't anticipate it. It's too late. It's too late. They can't go that route now. They basically retconned it in a completely different way now. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I don't think it would be as engaging as you think. I don't think that the mass market would engage with a Thrawn trilogy of films as much as you'd think. The character's cool, but I don't think that it would work cinematically. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Yes, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I don't want to dwell on the whole Russia thing any more than I have to on this. That's not what this channel's about. But I did bring it up, so I will say, yeah. When the media is controlled, then what are you going to do? You have no other outlet. Yeah, I don't know. So much. Oh. Who's Palian? Drawing a blank. Absolutely drawing a blank. And while I'm drawing blanks, I just want to say thanks to Dick Gambino for the $5 super chat. Burp, burp, burp. I said I'd never make that sound again. I lied. God, I wish I had an air horn. Nobody wishes that I had an air horn. Legitimately, nobody wishes that I had an air horn. Hello, Caleb. Knight of Ren is in the house. What's up, dude? Good to see you. Tommy K's taking off. All right. See you, bud. Gotta roll. Oh, is there trivia tomorrow night on Balt Stream? I didn't know. I wasn't able to tune in last week. I had things going on. But I want to say I was sleeping. I was legitimately sleeping during Paul's live stream. Okay, yeah, John Galgano confirms there are 6 Thrawn books in the new canon. 6 in the new canon alone? Or are we including Heir to the Empire? So many. Well, we're assuming so. Because he's allegedly showing up in Ahsoka. And also Ahsoka has been confirmed to be looking for him in The Mandalorian. Wait. Was Ahsoka looking for him or was Bo-katan? Bo-katan was looking for him. No. Ahsoka was looking for him. I'm so confused. Maybe I've had too much coffee. Figure Posing Channel with a €6 super chat. Thank you very much. And reminding you to hit the like button. How many likes do we have here? I don't even know. Yeah. Kicks, not clicks. Doing it for kicks, not clicks, people. That's my motto here. For the time being. I might have to try to monetize this stuff eventually. Knight of Ren got the Ahsoka too. A lot of people are getting their Ahsoka. Let me go ahead and... Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. That is something. B2 Emo is one of my bucket list figures. Oh yeah, you know what? I was actually making a list last night. Because somebody had asked what are my top 5, I think, wish list items for Hot Toys Clone Wars figures. And binge watching that, all those episodes of Clone Wars Season 1 made me start thinking about it. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, hopefully I didn't say it last week because I hate repeating myself, but I do it frequently anyway. But I was kind of hoping, I'm still to this day hoping that Hot Toys will see their way to making a Hondo Ohnaka figure. I dearly, dearly love that character from Clone Wars. I was elated when they transitioned him into an older version of him into Rebels. And that they gave him a place, one assumes for all time, in Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Fun, absolutely joyous character. Kind of reminds me of a Star Wars version of Captain Jack Sparrow, so that would be a really, really neat character to see. Again, I've got the list here somewhere. Not sure what I did, but I had my notebook with me. There it is. It's on the floor. Yeah, there were 1 or 2 others. I didn't quite do a top 5. God, it's cold in here. I keep it cold in my house. Did I imagine making this list? I must have made it up. What was in that bourbon last night? Alcohol. Anyway. John Galgano confirms for me that it was Ahsoka who was hunting him in the shows. Thank you there, dude. Oh, Kaiser Jose! Yeah, good. Welcome to the live stream. It's your first time here. Wow, we should have like a ritual for people who are first timers. Something just brief and powerful and probably annoying. But I don't have something like that yet, but I will be thinking about it now. Welcome. Happy to have you here for the first time. What time do I usually host this stream? It's usually 9 o'clock on Saturday mornings, Central Standard Time in the United States. But last night I was up until 4 o'clock in the morning watching the Clone Wars and sipping bourbon. So I didn't get up in time. Yeah, that's when you can usually catch it. And I try to do it weekly, but that might change. There were a couple of episodes of the live stream where not a lot had happened throughout the course of the week. I didn't have a whole lot to talk about it, and the live stream felt forced. Forced, get it? And so I think that if it's going to be content dependent. It will be weekly dependent on my ability to actually have something to talk about. And we'll see. Sometimes I get really busy with work and don't have time to do my research, so I can't put on a good show. And if that's the case, then I may skip a week here or there. Or in some cases, 3 weeks, like I did, a month or so ago. Oh, dude. So I'm going to back up to TK592. Is that... I legitimately almost said TK421 because TK421 is, of course, a regular contributor to the chats here. But a Brasso with Marva Brick figure would be hilarious. We'll never see that, but my God, that is just a funny idea, and props to you for thinking it up. Really enjoyed Katie M. O'Brien and Quantumania, but her work in the Mando made me Yes. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think she did a great job. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Thanks for giving actual solid, concrete reasons why we won't see Gina Carano back as Cara Dune. And we did see that they kind of wrote her off in episode 1. Gave her an out. But, she's like gone underground now. She's off with some element of the New Republic military. But that also brings up the potential for Rangers of the New Republic, which is a show that they tease, which may or may not happen. And I don't know. Really feels like that show would be great. For those of us who just love the TV shows, it would be a lot of fun. This is interesting. Commented on saying that Bo-katan felt alone and felt welcome. Supposedly she's still on the fence. Supposedly Katie's still on the fence or Bo is still on the fence. It probably could go either way. I'm sure that Katie Sackhoff is going to be perfectly happy with whatever happens with Bo-katan on the show. It's a great character, and I know she's thrilled to be a part of that world. Her dad is a massive Star Wars fan, and so she kind of became a Star Wars fan by default. So to have her on that show she just loves being on that show. Yeah. I was aware of that long before that became. Yeah, that was really funny. There are a lot of code words that are thrown around in Star Wars filming. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Should be around yeah, well. I guess that's why the evolution of astromechs happened there. That's why you don't see a lot of astromechs being the trash can variety. It was just a natural evolution from astromech to ball droid. Using the religious analogy, I think the Children of the Watch are more orthodox, not fundamentalists. They're deep into their own views, not trying to impose those views on others. That's a fair point. That's a fair point. Yeah. Yeah, if you're trying to profile them, I think that's probably the best way to do it. Definitely much more orthodox than anything else. I think a solid comparison would be I'm drawing a blank on the religion, the people who make all the furniture. It's going to be the most unintentional offense that hopefully that's the most unintentional offense that I throw out there this stream. Jesus. God, they made a whole freaking movie about him in Witness with Harrison Ford, actually. If you haven't seen Witness, check it out. It's great. Mennonites and the Amish. Thank you. I knew if I skipped down to the bottom that somebody was going to comment on that. But yeah, Mennonites and the Amish is who I was thinking of. But yeah, that's more of what the Mandalorian, the Children of the Watch feel like to me. I think that that's probably fair. God, now I'm going to be thinking about that all day. Yeah, you know what, Desmond? That's entirely possible. They could do some of those Thrawn parts. Yeah, possibly. I don't know. It's been so long since I've read them. I haven't read them since the 90s. Yeah, so Mike, when you get old, your memory clears out to make room for new things, and that's God. There was a whole Doctor Who episode about that with what's her name, Baby Kristen Stewart from Game of Thrones, Baby K's too. Me and names, man. Me and names. And the funny thing is, you know, I forget names constantly when I'm on this live stream. And it's definitely specific to when I am actually live and under the pressure of actually delivering a live stream. Because as soon as I log off, go in, sit on my couch, and just veg for a little bit, every single name that I forget pops back into my head. And I'm like, why couldn't I remember that person? Why couldn't I remember that person? Yeah, Luthen's ship fight against the cruiser in Andor is probably one of my favorite moments from that show. Saw elements of just innovative in so many different ways. Things that happen on a starship that we hadn't seen yet in Star Wars. Those awesome laser beams that came out to the side. What a formidable weapon! And the use of basically particle countermeasures, kind of a thing, to just trash. I mean, that's just, they're bringing actual genuine science into Star Wars, which is not something, I hate to burst your bubble, everybody, but a genuine science isn't something that happens a lot in Star Wars. In fact, I was watching, like, they even dispense with physics a lot in the Clone Wars. I'm like, that wouldn't move like that. Like, there was a whole episode of Rebels in which there were like speeder bikes and an Imperial troop transport. There was a big chase sequence, and biker scouts were falling off their speeder bikes and rolling backwards. Rolling in completely the wrong direction. They just threw physics out the window and just did some ridiculous craziness that legitimately hurt my brain. I was so like, God, make them stop rolling like that. If you know, you know. Figure Posing Channel with another €2. It's not a contest, my friend, but thank you. Thank you. That's for the Euro. I guess I gotta buy an air horn now. Jeez. And for everybody who's like wondering, these the super chat's gonna fund things like the music, which is key to Toy Tunes, the Saturday morning Toy Tunes, because you can't do Saturday morning Toy Tunes without tunes. And Epidemic Sound ain't cheap. Hugo Ramirez brings up an interesting question. What would be a good plot to continue Star Wars films without the Skywalker lineage? Perhaps continue with Rey or something completely brand new. I don't know, man, because you have to admit that with move my stool back here a little bit. You have to admit that George Lucas really captured lightning in a bottle with those characters in the original trilogy and made them compelling. And with Darth Vader, of course, being the focal point for that trilogy and the prequel trilogy as well. And we really felt the lack of a Vader in that sequel trilogy. I feel like we did. I don't know. I can't answer that. I mean, I feel like if you put me in a room with a team of other writers and gave us a few days, we could come up with something. But I don't know. Maybe it's. I feel like the magic is lost. Some of the magic is lost without George Lucas when it comes to making Star Wars films. We definitely saw the impact of his departure in the sequel trilogy. You can argue all day long as to the merits or lack thereof of the sequel trilogy, and you know, I legitimately had to find things to love about them. I mean, obviously Force Awakens, when that came out, I was just excited to have Star Wars content again. The Last Jedi was its own thing because it is a brilliant, brilliant film in its own right. You can, again, it's a very polarizing film. I don't know what to say about The Rise of Skywalker. I really struggle to find things to like about that one. But and most of the things that I found to like about it were visual. But that's all the negative. That's about as negative as you're going to hear me get about anything Star Wars. You know, Bad Wolf, that's really yeah, all those things, what you're right, would be perfectly cinematic. And that's one of the things that I do like about the TV shows is that they are incorporating elements of the books. We're seeing little bits of things that I remember. A lot of these Easter eggs from the books do escape me. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I feel like the answer to it is not to directly interpret the books into cinematic form or into television format or whatever, but just to incorporate, cherry pick the best elements of everything that came from the books, because I can't think of a single book or book series from the earlier days, what they now consider to be legends, that would work on a wider scale. The people that gravitated to the books were the hardcore Star Wars fans. And at this point, we're in a world where they have to incorporate a wider audience and find a story that's really going to connect with a wider audience. Of course, then you also get Andor, which I loved. Yes, thank you, TK421. Everybody's reminding me. Dark Wolf is here. Hey, Dark Wolf, how's it going, dude? What do you think Star Wars would be if everything from Clone Wars to the end of the Empire was switched? Good was bad and bad was good. Now you're getting deep. That's a matter of perception, though, isn't it? Because legitimately, everybody who's with the Empire sees themselves as good and the rebels as bad. In fact, there are several episodes in the Clone Wars where they touch on this whole thing, where Ahsoka engages with people from the Separatists, and they actually have a philosophical conversation about what their beliefs are and why each side considers themselves to be right. It's a murky gray area. There is no real black and white, and I think that for a long time Star Wars kind of hung on the whole notion of black and white as like opposing viewpoints. The rebels were pure good, the Empire was pure bad, and that was by design by George Lucas. Really wanted that. He talks about how, and he essentially did that because a lot of his stuff was based upon the Vietnam War. Because when he came out with Star Wars, the Empire was legitimately designed to mimic the United States during the Vietnam War, and the rebels were the Viet Cong. He's gone on record as saying this. This isn't me just throwing stuff out there at you. So he essentially did that. So if you really want to see what happens if it's flipped, then study the history of the Vietnam War, because that's really kind of what George Lucas drew from, and then he flipped that around and made Star Wars out of it. There are other things that went into making Star Wars and other philosophies, but I think that's a good place to start. No, Bad Wolf, they do not have a Hondo as a hot toy. They do have him as a Black Series figure. Released him on a couple of occasions. They released him as part of a set at Galaxy's Edge, and I've got that one. And then they also released him as a standalone figure along with the Rebels figures when they released those. I have that one as well. Yeah, I think that's a lot of wishful thinking, bro. But I hope so. I do. I hope so. Oh, that's it. I've got plenty of Star Wars sound effects on my iPhone. Am I really going to go into this? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not prepared. Wow. I'm not going to get to the end of these comments before I have to end this stream. That would be an interesting choice from a marketing perspective. I feel like there are a lot more characters out there that would be better suited for that, for something like that. They're not going to do a character that... The thing about Hondo is that not everybody feels the way that I do about him. I feel very strongly about Hondo Onaka, but not everybody does, and I think that that would come into play in a discussion about that. Which, if you were going to make a 6-scale figure exclusively for park distribution, you're not going to do a supporting character like that. You're not, and if you are, it's going to be part of a set, kind of like what they did with him in the first place. But yeah, sorry about that, and I don't think we're going to have a whole lot of time to talk about it. One thing that I will say is that they continue to impress me with the evolution of the look of the show. Just watching, there was a, spoiler alert, there was a tidal wave in the Bad Batch this week, and just watching the mechanics of that, the fluid mechanics of that actually happening on screen right there. I know that they came up with the algorithm for realistically recreating waves and ocean waves and such years ago. In fact, I think they first implemented it in the film The Perfect Storm. Spoiler alert, the visual effects artist who came up with that algorithm, who created that, is the guy, I can't remember his name, but he played Hero in Heroes. The actor who played Hero in Heroes is the guy who created that algorithm to mimic the natural flow of water. So yeah, that's kind of fun to see his stuff still impacting Star Wars now. Very cool stuff. But yeah, I loved that they found a new base of operations. I think that the show kind of needed that bit of a shift. They'd spent enough time working with Sid, and you saw them shifting locations in Rebels a lot. The characters in Rebels would shift bases. Something would happen that would take them away. They could no longer keep a current base secret, so they moved to a different world. And we're seeing that happen now with Bad Batch, and it's going to bring up fresh opportunities for new stories to be told. Hopefully, it doesn't end tragically. Jesus Christ, we're just now getting up to the point where people reminded me that it's the Amish that I was trying to refer to. You know, that's funny, Gambino. I was thinking about this. I was made to think about this by the new directors who are coming up on the Mandalorian. We've got new directors in episodes 2 and 3, and I love it. I love the fact that they're bringing in. Yeah, okay, they had a core of 5 or 6 directors for the first 2 seasons, but now they're starting to implement new directors, and I love having that change, that fresh perspective, and those fresh ideas brought to bear. Again, episode 2 really on point. Episode 3 blew my mind. So yeah, be selective, as long as they're taking as great a care with who they bring on board as they have been, then yeah, continue with that. On Disney Plus Star Wars Gallery's 30-minute segment, they talked about how they come up with ideas. I haven't watched that. I don't think I have. I just spit on my microphone. Can you hear that? Yeah, you can? Okay, that's awful. Sorry, won't do it anymore. First, I gotta pick up a book, bro, and I've had a hard time making myself read books lately. Eyesight is an issue, but and Desmond Hassing says Andor was a speech-based show for me. It reads like the Shakespearean history play to me. That's fair, yeah. While the rest of the series are comedies, yes, that's a great comparison. And one I hadn't really thought of. God, yeah, on so many levels. When you think about the Escape episode, when you think about Marva's speech in the last episode, that was great. Did you guys hear about, allegedly during filming, her speech did not end with "Fight the Empire." It allegedly ended with "Fuck the Empire." And if you look at her mouth, it looks like that's what she's saying. I'm not sure if that's an urban myth or if it's grounded in reality or not. I would be interested to find out. But I can't believe that out of all the great things in Andor, that's what I'm gravitating to right now. I've really come a long way. I'm really evolving. There we go. This is not a contest. Thank you, Keith, for the super chat. I don't know why I brought that up. I just clicked on it on accident. That's an interesting perspective. I don't know. There's just a lot of story to cover, and it's a big galaxy. I feel like you could. I feel like they could keep within that 60 to 80 year time window, and keep telling fresh, interesting stories. And I would be long dead before they ran out of great stories to tell within that window. But at the same time, I have to admit that it was a thrill to play Knights of the Old Republic and KOTOR 2 as well. It's so yeah, both these things are true. Both these things are true. I'm really into... Has the new video game dropped yet? I need to look into that. Anyway, I gotta scroll up down here to the end. I gotta wrap this up. Oh, geez, you guys are really being prolific. It's because Desmond is here, isn't it? Ultimately, what I think about the sequel trilogy fell out of place to me is that it doesn't target a political model as its threat or villain. Oh! Introspective music to go with my thought processes on this right here. Yeah, it was just all over the place, bro. Yeah. I get sullen when I think about Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, everybody's saying go back to the Old Republic. Okay. But again, there's so many elements that just really have to fall into place. You have to have something to say. You can't just go out and say, let's make a great Star Wars show. You got to have something to say. Oh my God, busting out with the super chats. 2 more euros from Figure Posing Channel. You guys are turning, oh gosh, okay, you guys are great. Liza Sella, it's totally a contest. Okay, opinions vary. It's all in good fun, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The channel thanks you, and I thank you. Oh, that's right, dude. I forgot about that. There were exclusive Hot Toys figures in China. Marvel based, right? Yeah, there was that Spider-Man. Kent Pool, man, what are you doing? God, what does that remind me of? That's reminding me of something. I don't know. One of my favorite jokes is that when I'm elected king, I will insert mandate. You know, I say that frequently. God, you guys, stop it. I'm humbled, and yeah. I totally caught that. Did you guys catch that? Grogu totally tried to say this is the way, and Din and Bo just like looked at each other. Did he just say what I think he said? I totally caught that, Keith. That was fantastic. We're seeing Grogu making progress towards actually speaking. I wonder if they'll go that route. I wonder if they will actually have him having by the end of the show, will he actually be participating in dialogue? I don't know. It would be so much fun. That's really funny, because I immediately thought of the word tsunami and then realized they're specifically not using the word tsunami because it's a Japanese word. And Japan doesn't exist in the Star Wars galaxy. Tropes notwithstanding. Japanese tropes classic Japanese tropes do exist. Good God. It's like watching a tennis match, only with money. Oh, jeez. What did I miss? Masioka. This is never going to end. I don't know who Masioka is. Good God, you guys. I'm totally obligated. I think I'm kind of obligated by YouTube protocol to bring up every comment. Yeah, I'm going to give away a spanner to the person who donates the most to the super chats. You made me Google spanner. Yeah. How about a hydro spanner or an air horn? The official Saturday Morning Toy Tunes air horn. It's in April. Okay, Jedi Survivor is coming in April. Oh God, that's really, really close. So is my next deadline, now that I think about it. Yeah, I heard about them putting KOTOR remake on hold indefinitely since the company apparently showed Disney a lackluster product. How can you show a lackluster product? Were they remaking it from the ground up, or were they just giving it a facelift? If they were remaking it from the ground up, then I could see some failings happening. But how? TK592, I did mention that earlier in the stream. Yeah, that was really subtle, and nobody that I spoke to in person about this episode noticed that. So yeah, I'm delighted to hear that I'm not the only person who caught that. Yeah, it was when it's when they were on Bo-katan's ship, and Mando said, when oh god, I totally slept. I've got Bo-katan over here. I know I said I was going to pose her, but that ain't going to happen. Or is it? No, it's not. No time. I got to go. I've got to fix a broken window in my garage and, yeah, do other things. But yeah, the Mandalorian said this is the way, Bo-katan said this is the way, and then Grogu said something that the cadence was similar to this is the way, but it didn't quite come out right. And they both just looked at each other. It was a remarkable moment. Just so subtle. Just so subtle. Oh, dude, that's good. That's a good point. That's a good point. Are we going to end this show with Grogu riding a mythosaur wielding the Darksaber? Oh, that's... Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, Masaoka is Hero from Heroes. Okay, yeah. Water modeling. So they were remaking it from the ground up. Yeah, that could be a very subjective... Calling it an inferior product could be a very subjective thing, too. It could just be that the audience that they were showing it to wasn't impressed. That type of roleplay game is not for everybody. So I'd be interested to see exactly what changes that they were going to make with it. But for me, you could just do a facelift of that game. Just improve the graphics on it and I would be fine. Kind of like what they've done with Modern Warfare, early Modern Warfare games, or the Halo games, Halo 1 and 2. They should really do a Halo 3 facelift as well. I would welcome that. Good God. You guys are crazy. All right, everyone. Looks like we've reached the bottom of the chats. Yay, I did it. I don't always do that. Sometimes I just have to end it. And with 9 minutes to spare. Damn you, Keith Lee. Stop sending me money. Said no one ever. Good God, you guys. So, yeah, that's it. That's a wrap for today's show. Sorry I didn't get around to posting Bo-katan. I do have 10 minutes. I guess I could just go ahead and do it. No, because I've got to set up the platform and everything so that you guys can see her. And I just don't have the time. I got to get out of here. And I'm hungry. And my dogs need to go outside. Thanks, everybody, for joining me this fine Saturday morning and now extended into Saturday afternoon here in the sunny city of St. Louis. Sunny today. At least it was last I looked. Looks like it might be partly cloudy. Okay. But, yeah, had a good time chatting with everybody today. Oh, there were exclusive Hot Toys Stormtroopers? Wow, okay. Squirrel! Oh, man. Yeah, that could be fun. I just like reading these farewell things from everybody. I just kind of dragging it out a little bit. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. It's been a great time today. I'm really, really happy with where the show's going, and I'm glad to see you guys are just as enthusiastic about it as I am. I hope you all have a great week. I hope that enough happens that I feel compelled to do a live stream next Saturday. If not, well, you'll hear about it. And if not, the following week, eventually, I'll be back at some point. Yeah, again, hope you all have a great week. Thank you so much for everybody who sent super chats. That was a lot of fun to watch. And until next time, be good to your plastic. I almost said don't forget to let your geek side show. So weird.